In a peaceful countryside, there is a market called East Market, where all the trading activities of the people in the area are concentrated. This is a place that is deeply attached to the life of Amity, a woman who is almost 70 years old. Amity lives alone in a small house at the end of the village, with a moss-colored tile roof and old brick walls. Her house, despite the signs of time, retains its warmth and peace. Behind the house is a small garden where she grows all kinds of vegetables: water spinach, bok choy, lettuce, and even the wrong tomato bushes. This garden has been her main source of income for many years. Her husband died a long time ago, and her only daughter, Yenda, now lives and succeeds in the big city. However, few people know that Yenda is not only a successful businesswoman but also one of the celebrities in the business world in the country. Despite many difficulties in life, Amity always keeps an optimistic spirit and loves life. The villagers often see her waking up very early, when it is still foggy, to prepare bunches of fresh vegetables and ride an old bicycle to the East Market. Along the way, she often met and chatted with acquaintances. Everyone received a gentle and warm smile from her. One morning, as Amity was cycling to the market as usual, an unexpected incident occurred. As she approached the market gate, a shiny red Ferrari appeared. This car is completely strange and does not belong to this poor countryside. It was like an object from another world, lost here. The Ferrari was parked close to the edge of the road, near the main entrance of the market. Amity was unfortunate when her bike tripped over a small stone, causing it to tilt to the side. The bunches of vegetables in the cart swayed, and in a moment, her steering wheel touched the Ferrari, shattering the car's right rearview mirror. The sound of crackling made Amity stop in panic. Immediately, a young girl stepped out of the Ferrari. She wore a luxurious beige dress, expensive high heels, and a famous brand bag in her hand. Her face was full of anger when she saw the car glass broken. The girl shouted, "Old lady, what are you doing?" Her voice was full of anger, making the people around her turn to look. Amity, trembling and scared, tried to pick up the bunches of vegetables that had fallen to the ground and repeatedly apologized. "You didn't mean to. I'll pay for you." But the girl sarcastically looked at her with contemptuous eyes. "Temple, can you pay for it? This glass costs more than 100 million. She probably won't be able to make that money from selling vegetables in her whole life. You dare to damage my car all your life." People in the market began to gather, whispering and talking. Some people love Amity, but no one dares to speak up, both afraid of the girl and not knowing what to do. Amity bowed her head and continued to apologize. "You're sincerely sorry. Let me call my daughter over. She will pay for you." The girl laughed contemptuously. "What can your daughter do? Selling vegetables all my life like you? Don't waste my time." Amity, though panicked and worried, still tries to grab her old phone and dial a familiar number. Amity called her daughter. "Yenda, in a daze. I accidentally damaged people's cars. I came over here to help you a little." On the other end of the line, Yenda's deep and gentle voice rang out. "Mom, are you okay? I'll pass right away." Yenda immediately hung up the phone and quickly set off. The young girl looked at Amity with contemptuous eyes, obviously not believing what her daughter could do. She thought that maybe Yenda would just come and try to borrow money to pay for the broken glass. About 30 minutes later, a glossy black Mercedes appeared in the middle of the market. The surrounding crowd whispered, curiously looking at the luxury car. The car door opened, and a woman stepped down. She is about 30 years old, tall and elegant, with sharp eyes but still exudes tenderness. She walked quickly towards Amity, bent down to grab her hand, and asked kindly, "Mom, are you okay?" Amity, still trembling with worry, replied, "It's okay. I just accidentally broke the glass of this girl's car." Yenda looked at the Ferrari and then turned to the young girl standing next to her, asking decisively, "How much does this glass cost?" The girl, a little confused but still cold, replied, "These glasses are genuine, costing more than 100 million. Yenda nodded, opened her bag and took out her phone, and said to the girl, "Give me the account number. I will transfer the money to you now." The girl, although she seemed uncomfortable, still couldn't refuse. reading Yenda's account number. Just a few seconds later, Yenda transferred the money quickly. "Can you check if the money has come in?" Yenda said, her eyes still cold and resolute. The girl picked up the phone and checked her bank account. When the number 100 million appeared on the screen, she was stunned. She didn't think that Yenda could transfer such a large amount of money so easily and without hesitation. But before the girl could say anything, Yenda continued in a calm but powerful voice. "The glass has been repaired, but I only have one thing left to say. She insulted my mother, an older person, and that couldn't be measured in money. Do you think that because you have an expensive car, because you live in a flashy world, you have the right to despise others?" The young girl, Cora, began to feel uncomfortable at Yenda's stern and quality words. Although she still wanted to refute, she didn't dare to speak up because of the eyes of the people around her. Yenda turned to look at her mother. Her voice was softer. "Mom, you don't need to be sad or worried about this. We live to maintain dignity, not to fear those who value material things more than human hearts." Cora stood silently, unable to say anything. Yenda's words were like a slap in the face to her pride. She is too used to judging others by her appearance, always thinking that the things she owns, expensive items, can create her human value. But now, the truth is like a blow to her arrogance. Cora felt embarrassed and confused, not knowing how to react to Yenda's harshness and Amity's compassion. At this time, the people around him began to stir up. An old lady selling donuts nearby whispered, "Is Amity's daughter so rich? I thought she lived a lonely life. Who would have thought that she would be such a successful person?" These words made Cora feel even more embarrassed. She looked around and began to realize that the things she had been evaluating for a long time might just be outer shells. Yenda is not only a successful woman, but also a child who appreciates the true values in life, such as kindness and respect for others. Yenda turned to Cora. Her eyes were no longer cold but full of understanding. "You think the things you own are everything, but human value doesn't lie in material things. We must live to be worthy of what we have, and treat others with respect, whether they are rich or poor." These words echoed in Cora's head as a profound reminder of how to see and live in life. Cora lowered her head. Her voice was soft. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. You shouldn't say nasty things to her. Just because this car is a gift from my father." Yenda looked at her patiently, but there was no anger in her eyes, but only sympathy, and softly said, "Admitting mistakes is the first step to change. I don't blame you, but I hope you will remember this lesson." Amity, with a kind heart, placed her hand on Cora's shoulder and said softly, "No one is perfect. The important thing is to recognize mistakes and correct them. I forgive you." Cora stood there, feeling the warmth of Amity's forgiveness. She realized that in life, there are lessons that are far more important than the flashy things that she has always valued. People like Amity, despite their poverty, are of immense value because of their kindness and open-mindedness. This encounter changed Cora. She is no longer an arrogant girl and only focuses on what she has. The next day, Cora appeared at the East Market, but no longer had the arrogance she had before. She wears a simple t-shirt and arranges vegetables with Amity, chatting happily with the people around her. Everyone in the market was surprised, but gradually they smiled when they saw her blend in, learning how to arrange vegetables beautifully. Cora not only learned to appreciate the true values in life, but also learned that kindness, humility, and respect for others are valuable qualities that she needs to practice. Mrs. Amity is still Mrs. Amity, a woman who sells vegetables with a warm smile, but now, she is not only a wonderful mother, but also a person who sows good seeds in the hearts of those around her. And Cora, from a girl who only knows her appearance, has begun to realize that what really matters in life is how we treat others, and that human worth cannot be measured by money. Cora began to change day by day. She realized that life is not just about what she owns or what flashes on the surface, but actually how each person treats each other. She no longer sees things through the lens of materialism or superficial success. She understands that kindness, humility, and respect for others are sustainable values in life. Throughout the next few days, Cora continued to appear at the East Market, not only helping Amity display vegetables but also learning from her about hard work and optimism in life. Every day, She listens to simple stories from the salespeople around her, realizing that their lives, no matter how difficult or simple, are filled with joy and respect for each other. Cora began to help Amity more, gradually becoming an integral part of the market. The people in the village also began to change their perception of her. No longer the arrogant girl she used to be, but a humble, hard-working, and compassionate person. The surrounding salespeople felt the obvious change in Cora. They happily chatted with her, and many praised her enthusiasm and hard work at work. Cora also began to take the time to return to visit Yenda and Amity, chatting with them about the valuable life lessons she had learned. Yenda, when she saw Cora's change, felt very proud. She knows that, through challenges and life lessons, Cora has learned to see and appreciate deeper values. One day, Cora arrives at Dong Market with a new bicycle. Not an expensive or flashy thing, but just a simple, durable bike to help her work more efficiently. As she rode the car through the market, the people around her saw and smiled, realizing that not only Cora but the entire community had changed, becoming more united and compassionate. Amity continues her simple life, but now, she is not only a wonderful mother but also a person who has instilled good values, teaching Cora and those around her that life is not only about success or money, but also about love, patience, and compassion for all. Cora, in a small corner of the East Market, sees the joy of what she does, feels peace of mind, and knows that she has become someone else. Someone who lives not only for herself but also for those around her. She has learned that the true value of life is how we treat each other and what we leave in the hearts of others. Cora, after a long time of blending in and learning from Amity and the people around her, has felt that she has truly matured. She no longer has superficial thoughts about life, no longer focuses on owning expensive items or external images. Instead, she began to value sincere relationships and the little good things she experienced every day. One afternoon, as the East Market was about to close, Cora sat with Amity and Yenda under a tree, sipping a cup of tea and chatting. The light of the sunset gently shone down, creating a peaceful scene that she had never felt before. She began to better understand the values that Amity had taught, about slowing down to enjoy the simple moments that life brings. Amity looked at Cora, her eyes full of pride. "I've learned a lot. I never ask you to be someone. I just hope you are true to yourself and treat others well." Cora felt her heart warm. She understands that Amity is not only a great mother, but also a teacher who teaches her valuable lessons about life, about patience and dedication to what she does. Yenda also looked at her, with a gentle smile. "Life is never easy, but people like Amity, like me, know how to live sincerely and lovingly. That's the most important thing." Cora didn't say anything, just silently looked at the scenery around her, feeling the peace in her heart. She knew that she had found a different path, one that was not based on bragging or success in society, but on sincerity and long-term values in life. From that day on, Cora continued to help Amity sell vegetables and take care of the market. She no longer feels pressure to express herself through material things or fame. She learned to love and care for those around her, regardless of rich or poor, because she understood that the connection between people is what makes life worthwhile. Gradually, Cora became a role model for other young people in the village, who also began to realize that life is not just what they have, but how they live and treat others. Amity's lessons became a solid foundation for Cora in her journey to adulthood, and she decided to always live the way she taught her. A way of life filled with love, respect, and patience. The story of Cora and Amity is not only a story about a girl's transformation, but also a story about the power of love and compassion, about finding the true value of life through simple but profound actions. In the days that followed, Cora gradually changed completely. She is no longer an arrogant, cold-looking girl, but has become an important part of the Dong Market community. Every morning, she rides a simple bicycle to the market, bringing joy and dedication to work. Not only did she help Amity sell vegetables, but she also started chatting, sharing with people around her, listening to everyday stories that she had never been interested in before. Cora learns a lot from the vendors around her. They don't have much but are always happy with what they have. Despite the hard work, they are always optimistic and know how to share joy with each other. Cora began to understand that simple relationships, small actions like a smile or a greeting, can also bring joy and warmth to people. One day, as Cora was helping Amity clean up the vegetables on her old bicycle, a man from the village approached her, smiled and said, "You've changed a lot, Cora. The whole village can see that she lives happier and more sociable, no longer the same as before." Cora just smiled, didn't say anything, but she felt proud in her heart. She knew that she had found the right path and would not go back to her old self. Amity saw the obvious change in Cora, her eyes shining with joy and pride. "You did a great job," she told Cora one morning as they were preparing vegetables for the market. "She always believed that I would find my way, and today, I proved it." Cora didn't say anything, just smiled slightly. She knew that she still had a lot to learn, but what she had learned from Amity and the people in the East Market community were valuable lessons that she would keep in her heart. She also knew that she would continue to help Amity not only with her work, but also with care, love, and sincere actions. As time went on, Cora became an influential woman in the community, not because of money or fame, but because of the way she treated everyone around her. She is always looking for ways to help others, listen and share. Gradually, the people in the village began to notice the change in her, and they respected her for the values she brought. Cora has not only become Amity's proud daughter, but also a role model for other young people, a testament to being true to herself and living for good values. Cora continued her daily work at the East Market, but now she felt peaceful and happy. She knows that life is not always easy, but with love, humility, and compassion, we can create lasting relationships and find true meaning in life. The story of Cora and Amity gradually spread throughout the village, not only in the East Market but also in the daily stories that people told each other. The whole village gradually realized that Cora's change was not just a change in appearance or behavior, but a profound change in her soul. Cora not only helps Amity in her business but also starts organizing meetings and sharing with people around her about the life lessons she has learned from her. She often invites old women who sell donuts, uncles who sell vegetables, and even young friends to sit and chat and learn together. These conversations become a place for people to share the joys and sorrows in life, the valuable lessons they learn from their experiences. One day, while drinking tea with Amity, Cora suddenly said, "Grandma, I feel that life here is peaceful and happy. I never thought that one day I would be able to find true value in this life." Amity smiled kindly, her eyes full of love. "I found it, Cora. Happiness is not something that can be bought with money or fame, but peace of mind and sincere relationships that you build." Cora felt like there was a new energy in her heart, a powerful power that came from the simple things that Amity had taught. She no longer worries about having to have luxurious things or stand out in the eyes of others. What is more important is how she lives, how she treats the people around her, and how she respects herself. Cora's story also gradually reached the ears of her old friends in the city. Some people couldn't believe that she could change so much, but Cora only smiled, because she knew that change was a long process, and she found joy and happiness in the little things of life itself. Eventually, not only Dong Village but many other places in the region also began to learn the values that Cora brings. People are gradually realizing that in a society full of these material things, humanity, respect, and compassion are the most important things. Mrs. Amity looked at her daughter, her eyes full of pride and happiness. She doesn't need an expensive gift. She doesn't need social recognition. All she needs is to see her daughter happy and live up to the values she has taught. And Cora, with her steadfastness and love, has truly become a shining example for the whole community. After some time, Cora became more and more attached to life in the East Market, and her relationship with Amity deepened. She began to realize that the values Amity instilled in her not only helped her work better, but also helped her better understand herself and what really matters in life. Cora not only learned to be humble, but also learned to respect himself and others, no matter who they are, where they come from, and what their status in society is. Cora also began to think about bigger plans for her life. After living in the glamour of the city for a long time, she understood that true success is not about achieving material things, but about living a meaningful life, giving back to the community, and setting an example for the next generation. She realized that she could use her knowledge and experience in work and life to help the poor, especially women and children in the village. Cora began planning to open a support fund to help disadvantaged families in the community, especially women like Amity, who have sacrificed their lives for their families, but have never received the recognition they deserve. One day, when Cora and Amity were preparing to sell vegetables at the market, a group of women from the village approached and expressed their admiration for Cora. "Miss Cora, since you came here, we have seen that our lives are also brighter. She helped us realize that happiness is not what can be seen, but what we can feel from the heart," said an old woman, her voice full of emotion. Cora smiled, her eyes full of gratitude. "We can all learn from each other, and I also learn a lot from you, from Amity, from the people around you. We may not be rich, but we can always be rich in love and sharing." Cora's story has spread far and wide, not only in the East Market but also outside the region. She became a role model for a woman who was not only successful but also compassionate, and through that, she inspired many others to live kinder and care more about the community. Amity, with a gentle smile, looked at her daughter and felt satisfied. Her and Cora's story is not only a story of motherhood, but also a story of change, growth, and the discovery of true values in life. She knew that, despite the difficulties, despite the challenges, she and her daughter had always followed the right path, a path to true happiness, not through material possessions, but through simple but meaningful things. With a profound change in her heart and outlook on life, Cora began to act not only for herself but also for the people around her. She has launched many support programs, focusing on economic development for rural women and creating learning opportunities for the younger generation. Although not a professional entrepreneur, Cora knows that her success is not only measured by profit or fame, but by the changes she brings to the community, the positive changes that Amity has instilled in her. One of Cora's first projects was a free life skills class where she shared lessons on self-reliance, patience, and compassion. Although it was just beginning, the class attracted many students, especially women and youth in the village. She teaches them how to appreciate themselves and what they have, as well as how to live a useful life, not to chase vain material values. Cora not only helps those around them find joy in work and life, but also creates a healthy environment where people can develop themselves and help each other. Soon, the people in Dong village began to work together more. They organized community activities, and together they supported each other to overcome difficulties in life. Mrs. Amity, with proud eyes and a satisfied smile, looked at what her daughter had been doing. Although she is nearly 70 years old, she continues her familiar job of selling vegetables. But now she no longer feels as lonely or miserable as before. She knows that her life is not only about working hard every day, but also about passing on good values to the next generation, as she did for Cora. Cora's life is now full of joy and hope. She knew that she still had a long way to go, but was no longer afraid or worried. She learned that life is not a race to gain material things or fame, but a journey to find yourself, help others, and live up to the values that Amity taught. And through the story of Cora, Amity, and the people of the East Village, people realize that the value of a person is not what they own, but the way they live, the way they treat the people around them. They learn that, no matter the circumstances, kindness, humility, and compassion will always be the most enduring values, bringing true happiness and peace in life.